A 22-year-old female, was on vacation in San Antonio with a friend for New Year's. In retrospect, I would have picked anywhere else to celebrate, but I'd never been to San Antonio before, so I thought it would be cool. When we pull up to the place, it's very obvious it's not in a great neighborhood, but it was extremely cheap and within walking distance to the Riverwalk. I'm no stranger to questionable neighborhoods, so I wasn't too concerned about the area as it was very quiet. So on the day of New Year's Eve, my friend got food poisoning and asked me to get them some stuff from the gas station down the street. I wasn't comfortable taking a truck, and since it was only an 8-minute walk, I started heading out. I got to the gas station no problem, but they didn't have a Pedialyte, so I started walking to another gas station that was only 5 minutes away. This is where it gets sketchy. I'm halfway to the next gas station and I noticed that there's 2 homeless guys walking around outside of their tents next to the street that I'm on. Originally, I was going to walk straight past them and pay them no mind, but when I got closer, I can tell that they noticed me and they were staring at me hard. I'm about 5'5", not super athletic, pretty strong, but I'm not taking my chances with 2 grown men. Instead of going straight past them, I turned a corner. I assumed they'd go about their business and leave me alone. I hear one of them say, "Hey, Randy, come over here." And I glance behind me and I see 3 men now following me. They're far enough away from me where I'm not worried, but I'm still extremely cautious. I glance behind me again after a few minutes. They're all hunched over and huddled up like they were trying to sneak up on me, much closer this time. I make the smart decision to say screw the Pedialyte and round the corner back towards our place. I'm maybe 1 or 2 blocks away when I check behind me again and they have rounded the corner and are walking quickly now. I start booking it and I hear the man behind me yelling at me. I didn't even look back this time, but I can hear shuffling of feet breaking into a run. Thankfully, I made it inside before they can even see where I went. I peeked out of the peephole in the door and watched in horror as these 3 men came barreling around the corner and frantically looking around for me. They were arguing and pointing around, but eventually they just gave up. If I wasn't so alert, I shudder to think what would have happened. And no, I did not get the Pedialyte, but I did get it delivered. About 6 years ago, New Year's Day, I was working in my yard, nearing the end of the yard work on a beautiful, warm, and sunny day. A car pulled up in front of my house, and a man got out. He starts asking for the previous owner. I don't know the guy. I told him repeatedly. He goes to say how the previous owner killed his wife and stole his children. Like what? What the hell is this guy talking about? I'm really starting to get creepy, crazy person vibes at this point. I never knew the guy, nor have I met him, I replied. I started looking around me to make sure that I had clear entry back into my house in case he became physically aggressive. Eventually, the guy says, "Come on, you must know the previous owner. How else would you have known that I was coming over here?" Oh shit, I told myself. Look, just tell the previous owner that Sam is looking for him, and if I find him, I'm going to kill him. Then the guy just jumped in his car and just drove off quickly. I hurried out to the street to get his license plate as he drove off, then immediately entered the house and wrote down his name and his license plate. Then I called the police and provided all of the information. Cop cars were up and down the local streets for a half an hour. I guess they finally found him. A month or so later, I finally found in the court records, local and federal, that he was arrested and charged with making threats in 2 different states and towards a U.S. embassy overseas. I just checked again today, and it looks like he was on supervised release probation until 2021. This was most certainly a mental health issue, and it really creeped me the hell out. And it mostly terrified me until I knew he was in custody, since he knew where I lived. I'm a taxi driver on weekend nights, and I've seen some things. The first time I encountered something was when I drove by an old cemetery at Christmas a couple of years ago. One minute I'm alone in the car, and when I drive by the old cemetery, I notice a shadow on the rearview mirror. I turned on the lights, and I saw an old lady sitting in the middle back seat. I knew something was off, so I decided to just ask her where she wanted to go, and no response. I asked a second time, and still no response. I just turned the free light off and just drove around for a few minutes, looked back, and sure enough, she was gone. And now on the second time was a week after on New Year's when I drove past the same cemetery. An old lady waved me down to stop and climbed in the back seat. I asked her where to, and she said just the old part of town. We drove for a few minutes because it's not that big of a town, and when we got to the old part of town, I looked back and there was no one there. I have a few other stories from coworkers, such as feeling long hair glazing their faces mid-drive, seeing a man with no arms, no legs suddenly appearing in the back, and some customers asking who that was in the back seat. Have any of my fellow taxi or Uber drivers gone through similar things? Please, I need to know. This happened right before New Year's Eve Day, 2003 to 2004. Just a tiny note before I begin. I've never done any drugs. I haven't had a sip of alcohol on New Year's Eve, and I'm 100% mentally sound, so not a psychotic break or anything like that. I'm a very rational person and studied psychology in college. I have always found the logical explanation for things in the past. I am the biggest skeptic you'll ever meet. But after I experienced this, I have no explanations. Here's the story. It was New Year's Eve, and I was messing around with my washer all day because for the first time ever, mind you, I bought this new and owned it for 2 years. My washer was giving me problems on this day. The comforter that I put in was a little too heavy, and it kept running error codes because of it being unbalanced, which was a safety feature. So it kept shutting down and turning off. I ran it 3 times that day and checked it on and off all through the day. I even at one point sat down and recorded a funny video to send to my sister saying, I'm literally gonna sit in front of it and watch it until it finishes the cycle because it's not working. Another thing to note, I have a very good memory when it comes to visual things, not a photographic memory, but I am very hyper aware to details and always pay attention to my surroundings. I know how my washer looks. It's a newer one, with a stackable dryer attached to the top. The brand is LG, and it's known for looking aesthetically pleasing. It's black and white, and I am very OCD, so I constantly admire how nice it looks, because it's the only thing that I've ever bought that's brand new. I clean it once a week and I wipe it down. Pretty much the point of all of this is that I know exactly what it looks like for a fact. I am very familiar with it is what I'm trying to say. You know how we go through life and sometimes we don't fully memorize something because we're just so used to seeing it, but however it changes, your eye instantly catches it because your brain recognizes it's off? Perhaps that's not what it's used to? This is exactly what happened. I was playing video games with my friends and midnight struck and we all celebrated the new year together via the online game, but it was time to get off and go to bed. So it was a couple of minutes after New Year's Eve, now January 1st, 2024, and I go to check the washer to see if it worked yet again, to finally switch it over. I opened the closet to the washer and my eyes were instantly drawn to the obnoxious, very noticeable green and orange sticker right below where you put the detergent, which is something that I should have noticed. It wasn't a neutral tiny sticker in the upper right corner or something that I easily could have missed. It's a spot where I wipe every week. A spot I would have noticed when I was putting in detergent. It was a sticker that was very ugly and it ruined the entire pretty aesthetic of it all. I would have removed it the second I got the washer. In fact, when I look at the sticker, I actually do have a memory of removing it and throwing it away when I first got the washer. Look, I understand false memory, This is exactly what happened during the Mandela effect. You think you remember something, but it's really just your brain filling in information because you never really fully paid attention to the logo or the said object. But this was so different. My washer was blatantly and purposely black and white and plain because that's what I like, and I made it that way on purpose. It's the whole reason why I brought it in the first place. I'm very specific about that. What are the odds that one day I'm messing with it, I'm really looking at it? If anything, I would have noticed it then, taken videos, etc. The second the new year hits, I open the closet door and my eyes are instantly drawn to it, and I said that wasn't there before. I take a look at the videos that I sent my sister that day and where the sticker would be. It's just out of frame, of course, so I couldn't even see if the sticker had been there. When I look at where the sticker was, it makes my head physically hurt. I have since removed the sticker and thrown it out, and now looking at my washer, it looks right again. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Something they say with 100% certainty? Something that cannot be explained away? Please let me know, guys, and message and comments any questions. I'll comment what I can. But please, I need help. If I was scrolling and came along this, I wouldn't think anything of it. But I'm telling you, this is 100% true, and I couldn't even make up a story like this if I tried. Look, trust me, I know that this sounds crazy, but I don't know what else to say or do.